Hey everyone, welcome back. You know we love a good deep dive, and this time we're tackling CyVectors.
They're everywhere in the cybersecurity world right now. You've sent over a whole stack of their docs.
Yeah, it looks like you're building out a full defense strategy with this stuff. Network sensors, endpoint protection, even AI analysis.
It's pretty impressive, honestly. It looks like CyVectors is all about working with what you've got, not just making you rip and replace your whole setup.
So it's not about ditching my SIEM, it's about making it better.
Exactly. It's like they're giving your SIEM superpowers.
I like the sound of that, but they've got a lot of tools.
Yeah.
Where do we even start with all this?
Well, a good chunk of these documents, like this info.pdf here, shows how CyVectors is really focused on covering all the bases from the network level down to individual endpoints.
So it's a defense in-depth approach.
Exactly. You've got AirVector Sentry watching for any suspicious Wi-Fi activity.
Which is huge these days, with everyone and their mother bringing their own devices to work.
For sure. And then there's the DNS sensor, making sure no one's sneaking out sensitive data through the back door.
Which reminds me, have you seen what they're doing with LAN and Vector? Talk about invisible connections. That stuff used to give me nightmares.
LAN Vector is definitely a game changer. Being able to see those hidden connections, even terminate malicious processes, that's huge.
Right. And don't even get me started on those creepy keyloggers. It's like someone's reading over your shoulder in the digital world.
Ugh, I know what you mean. But at least LAN Vector can help with that too. It can detect and shut down those keyloggers before they can do any real damage.
It's like having a digital bouncer tossing out troublemakers before they can even cause a scene. And speaking of being proactive, this SIEM AI sidekicks sounds intense. I mean, AI analyzing security logs, how does that even work?
Well, imagine if you had a security analyst who had years of experience, never slept, and could spot patterns in data that a human would probably miss.
Okay, that's a little scary, but also kind of amazing.
That's AI for you. So with the AI sidekick, it's constantly learning and adapting, looking for those subtle anomalies that could be a sign of something bigger.
Like what? Give me an example.
Let's say it sees a small uptick in failed login attempts on a particular server. To us, that might not seem like a huge deal, but the AI might recognize that pattern as a potential brute force attack in its early stages.
So it's like having a crystal ball, but for cyber threats. That's wild. Okay, but what about this event log sentry? This one seems super customizable.
Yeah, Event Log Sentry is all about zeroing in on the specific events that matter most to you. You're not just watching generic events, you're setting up custom rules to catch the really important stuff.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
Sure, let's say you're worried about a specific type of attack that usually leaves a unique fingerprint in your Windows event logs.
And you would know that how?
That's where really understanding your enemy comes in, knowing their tactics, their tools, their signatures. Anyway, with the Event Log Sentry, you can configure it to watch out for those telltale signs, and bam, you get an alert the moment something suspicious happens.
That's way better than digging through mountains of logs trying to connect the dots after the fact. Talk about finding a needle in a haystack.
Right. This is about working smarter, not harder. And the flexibility of customizing it for your unique setup, that's huge.
No more trying to make your security tools fit a mold. You're molding the tools to fit your needs. I like it. Speaking of customizing things, we've talked a lot about how CyVectors integrates with SIEM systems, but they also have this Ultra Viewer thing. It seems a little different.
Yeah, Ultra Viewer is interesting. It can be a really handy tool, especially when you're first getting started with CyVectors.
So like a test drive before you go all in?
Exactly. You can use it to collect syslog data from the sensors without plugging it directly into your main SIEM. That way you can get a feel for how everything works, see what kind of data you're collecting before you make any big changes to your setup.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's not just a passive receiver, right? There's more to it than that.
You're right. UltraViewer has some AI capabilities built in too. It's not as advanced as the SIEM AI sidekick, but it can still do some pretty cool analysis on its own.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying even without a full-blown SIEM, I can still get some AI insights with UltraViewer?
You got it. It's a great option for organizations that aren't quite ready for a full SIEM deployment, but still want to take advantage of AI-powered analysis.
That's pretty awesome. It's like dipping your toes into the AI pool without diving in head first.
Exactly. And the best part is, it's super flexible. You can actually experiment with different AI models within UltraViewer. So if you're feeling adventurous, you can swap out the default model for one that might be a better fit for your specific needs.
It's like having an AI model fitting room. Now that's what I call customization. You know, all this talk about data reminds me we haven't even touched on File Audit Agent yet. That one seems pretty crucial these days, especially with ransomware running rampant.
Oh, absolutely. File Audit Agent is all about keeping tabs on your crown jewels. Those
Hmm.
critical files and folders that would be devastating to lose. It tracks who's accessing what, when, and how. So if someone tries to sneakily delete files, encrypt them for ransom, any funny business.
It's like having a security camera, but for your data.
Exactly. It gives you that extra layer of visibility and control, which is essential in today's threat landscape.
No more wondering if someone's messing with your files, you'll know right away. Speaking of knowing what's going on, what about this Node Beacon tool? It seems a little different from the rest.
Node Beacon. It's like the unsung hero of the CyVectors lineup. It might not sound as glamorous as AI or threat detection, but it plays a vital role in keeping your systems healthy and secure.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think of it as a system health monitor. It keeps an eye on all those critical system resources, CPU usage, memory consumption, disk activity, you name it. Any sudden spikes or dips in performance could be a sign of something malicious brewing.
It's like those subtle coughs that turn out to be something much worse, right?
Exactly. Node Beacon is all about catching those early warning signs before they turn into full-blown security incidents.
It's about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture.
Precisely. And that's what I appreciate about CyVectors. They're not just throwing a bunch of random tools at you and saying, good luck. They've clearly put a lot of thought into building a cohesive ecosystem where all the pieces work together seamlessly.
Right. It's not enough to just have a firewall and call it good these days.
Right.
You need that layered approach, that holistic view of your security posture.
Absolutely. And that's where a tool like Syslog Junction comes in.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about that one yet. It sounds pretty technical.
It can be, but think of it as the central nervous system for your entire security setup. All those sensors we've been talking about, they generate a ton of data.
And too much data can be just as bad as not enough, right? That's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Exactly. That's where Syslog Junction steps in. It acts as an intelligent traffic controller, making sure all that security data gets to the right place at the right time.
So it's like the glue that holds everything together.
That's a great way to put it. It brings order to the chaos, ensuring that your SIEM, your log management system, your security analysts, they're all getting the information they need when they need it in a format they can actually use.
Having that kind of centralized, organized system just makes sense, especially when you're dealing with so much data in the security world.
It's not just about the amount of data, though, right? It's about making that data actionable, turning it into something you can actually use to improve your security posture.
And that's what it's all about, right? It's not a matter of if you'll get attacked these days, it's when and are you ready?
I think that's where a lot of companies miss the mark. They think, okay, I've got my firewall, I've got my antivirus, I'm good. But it's so much more than that now.
It's like they say, cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And it's a journey you can't take alone. It takes constant vigilance, adaptation, and the right tools for the job.
And the right partners, too, right? Nobody can be an expert in everything these days.
Exactly. You need to be able to rely on experts who know what they're doing, who are constantly researching and evolving their solutions to stay ahead of the bad guys.
So for someone listening out there who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this, what's the one piece of advice, the one takeaway you would want them to leave with today?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to companies like CyVectors.
Yeah.
Talk to experts. Do your research. There's a wealth of knowledge and resources out there. You don't have to do this alone.
Security is a team sport. I love it.
Well said.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the CyVectors approach to cybersecurity, from network sensors to AI analysis and everything in between.
We've seen how they emphasize that layered defense, proactive threat identification, and that rapid response capability. It's impressive for sure.
It's been a really fascinating deep dive. So until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay informed, and keep those firewalls strong.